Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the Mental Toughness and Body Show. Today we are going to discuss how to create an unstoppable mindset. I don't think we've ever been living in a time where mental health, fear, limiting beliefs, anxiety, depression, lack of confidence have been impacting people globally than it is today. But our guest today is going to show you practical strategies to reclaim your confidence and become the best version of yourself and live your best life. Now, on this podcast, we've interviewed people from all walks of life, from A-list celebrities, billionaires, to Olympic gold medalists. And today we have life strategist, author, and speaker, Billy Boss. Billy, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here with you today, and thank you for your invitation.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here with you. So your journey is obviously marked with incredible resilience. How did you find the strength to, I suppose, want to come out and talk about this to start with? I mean, you and I have had some conversations off air about some of this stuff. And as soon as you put your head up, particularly here in Australia, somebody wants to lop it off. And there can be a lot of courage in coming out and talking about, what we've gone through. So why did you decide to?
Oh, that's a great question. And for me, I feel like I hope that many people would not go through this journey to wait until that time is ticking off. And you think, okay, I better do something otherwise. So for me, when I share the story, when I actually gained the courage and saying the three words that we must get stuck on, and maybe we don't actually have enough courage to ask, it's like, I need help. It was the time when I really was like crushed down. It was make it or break it. So, and to me was like, if I really want to live, I just really need to gain the courage and ask for help, break the silence, whatever that silence is for all the listeners or for all viewers is. So that was breaking point for me. So it was not like, okay, I better share something because like, oh, my watches remind me what time it is. So for me, it was more of a like emergency thing back in the day. So, and even that now, like whole theory about what I do today, it's actually really reminding people to do before it's, too late to sort of speak up and do some certain things.
So maybe tell us a little bit, only just what I know you've written about this in your book, but
yeah.
only what you're prepared to share. Tell us just a little bit about what it is that you've gone through, because
Yeah.
it's, if you want to create in your mind like a movie or a horror story of, what somebody has had to deal with, yours is it.
Well, yeah, it is. And, we all have stories. Like we all have stories. We all have life journeys, and it's all what we really create from that as well. So what I'm really referring is why I kept silent for so long. It's I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and everything that comes with it, with mental abuse, physical, emotional abuse. So you name it, it was there. So I actually was buried in lots of guilt and shame, blaming myself and that I was at fault of that happening to me, even though like I was a child from 6 years of age when everything started to happen. So I felt I was really silent and didn't want anyone to know what I was going through, but internally it was brewing. It was just a matter of the time, when is it coming out and what is going to happen then. And I think that's where we just touched before, like it pretty much, I was forced to speak up if I was choosing life and everything that comes with this amazing life over, okay, let's, do catastrophic things. So living in that silence for so long, it was really, something that I would not ever recommend anybody, but there is also a reason for it. So for me, why I kept silent was of that fear of like, what are people going to tell, how they're going to judge me,
A bit of
how they
self-preservation, I imagine.
yes, yeah, like, and it was like form of my protection as well, but it was not maybe the best way of living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've obviously also come from a war-torn country. You're living your best life now, and I guess there are plenty of examples where people have, oh, I don't know what the stats are, but plenty of people that have remained where they are, both physically but also in their mindset as well. And then we have success stories like yourself that have been able to find the strength to be able to, just move on from that, and in spite of it, make you a stronger person as well. Would that be fair to say?
Oh, certainly, certainly. So for me, it is a total journey. It is honestly a total journey. But when everything sort of break, and like when I actually break my silence, is okay. What is it now like for me? What is that life going to look at, for me right now? And certainly, we can actually change our environment. We can change our body image. We can change many things. But if we don't change what's happening right here in our beautiful mind, we're still going to be stuck in some certain old patterns or way of living.
Mm,
So, and what do I really mean by that? To give you an example, like I work with so many beautiful, amazing ladies that actually change their self-image and maybe, shed some weight, and you'll be very familiar with this. And yet they're still like, now they're looking amazing, yet that feeling and internal dialogue, it's still catching up with them. They don't see themselves that way.
yeah.
So in my instance, like, yes, like I went through so many things in my life. And as you said, from war zones, and I was shot. I kept as a hostage for a while back in my own country. Coming here in this beautiful country and being refugee and being bullied on many different levels. So it actually has a great impact. It actually influences our identity, who truly we are. So we actually, show differently to the world, and yet working through all of these layers, you can come on the other side, and yet you can still be trapped in your own mind. So I
Yeah.
think it's like, something that we really need to hone into. Really, how do we actually reframe that? How do we work with our amazing mind to really create the best life that we all deserve?
Mm.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of what you've gone through is, I apologize for all the stupid men that treated you poorly and so forth. But how long did it take you to be able to regain trust?
Mhm.
But well, so by what age were you when you made that decision that I'm assuming or maybe it was that you decided to leave that situation, which is also coming to Australia at the same time, or whatever that timing was. But how old were you when you said, you know what, I'm leaving this situation?
Well, there was actually many situations, Rob. If we were like,
Mm,
there's so many situations. I think when I actually left home, I was only 17 and a half. And that's to run away from abusive father. But at 16 and a half, I ran away, from home again, back in my own country, in the hands of pretty much my murderer, which I was not aware at the time. Then coming to Australia, like, there's always something like, okay, I'm running away. So toxic relationships, like it seems always like I was running away. So this is one thing that I've learned in my life. Whatever we are running away from, we really need to confront, to
yeah.
really deal with it, because it is going to follow us through. And going back to your question, it was like, about the trust and everything. Honestly, it is a long journey, and it's a journey for lifetime, that reminding yourself of who truly you are, the trust thing, and whatever it is that I was lacking before, the trust comes first within myself. So I really needed to delve into trusting myself, number one. So, uh,
As in like your judgment, do you mean?
sorry.
Do you mean as in like trusting your own judgment?
Yes, trusting my own judgment, like, because usually what the gut feeling, it's actually the right feeling for
Mm,
us, but we override it with our mental state. So, but also it takes the time to have that gut feeling, because if we are cluttered with so much trauma, with so much anger, fear, sadness, hurt, guilt, shame, all of these things, negative limitations, beliefs, everything that comes with it, we cannot even, have that good gut feeling, because it's always towards what's very familiar, that we went through. So for me, it was familiar to be mistreated poorly. It was for me to live very unhealthy life. It's for, for me to create drama rather than peace. So even to have that, trusting self and feeling that, great gut feeling, you really need to work towards that as well, to declutter everything that is in the way of all these, negative emotions or things that are not serving us.
And
Yeah.
it's not really a destination, is it? It's a lifelong journey. I know I'm a fair bit older than you, but I realize just how much every single day I'm still focused on growing myself, and even just looking back at 8 years ago and how much I've changed now, but how my focus changed probably 7 years ago to just focus on improving a little bit every day. But when you look back 7 years later and you say, oh my goodness, that is so different to where I am now and how I think. And I look at, gee, I keep doing that. What's the next 7 years look like? And you still have I guess those internal battles with yourself and the words you should be using and all that kind of stuff. So I do agree with you there. It really is a long journey. I want to ask you, like, confidence is obviously the central theme to the work that you do. What would you say are the most important steps for someone looking to, say, build confidence after trauma?
Mm. It requires a lots of courage. Building the confidence for me personally, going through the journey that I went, that was actually something that I really lacked in the past. Something has been ripped away from you. So your self-esteem, self-worth, your confidence is taken away pretty much. It's crashed. So for my own journey, from my own experience, how I would say or explain is really gaining the courage, number one, in this instance, to speak up. What is it that you are looking for? What is it that you need? Where do you need to be supported? And honestly, to grow your confidence in any situation that we are in, it is really doing some certain things on a daily basis, maybe that we are not feeling like doing them.
So you can
Because
give us some examples.
well, number one, confidence is not built when you actually really feel great. So doing some certain things, like, for me, for a long time, being depressed or um, what is the word? Like
Anxious?
depressed, like I did not even want to get out of the bed. So I did not want, like, I did not feel like getting out of the bed. So I'll try my best to get out of the bed. I'll try my best to get out and get some sunlight. I'll try my best to maybe have a healthy meal. I mean, like, people see me today and they sometimes cannot even comprehend how unhealthy and unwell I was. I was addicted to self-medicated stuff and medications and quite a few other things. So it's really doing those little things that we sometimes think they're not huge part of, like, oh, how's it, like, getting up every day, like going to build up my confidence. That's something that I could not do back in the day. So wherever we are building the confidence is, at least having the attempt of trying things or doing something and being consistent with it.
Yes.
So that's for me, like, getting up, gaining the courage, doing something consistently, something on a day, every day, that you can build your confidence. So I would actually have the pillars of what do I really want to achieve. So when I was chronically depressed, I really wanted to get up and maybe have one day in a month that it's like I can smile about, that I can create great memories. So I actually have those pillars, and I say, okay, what do I need to do in order to get to that level? They're very tiny micro steps, and then when you reach that little goal, which was huge for me, then let's go to next pillar. So for everyone listening to this, it's like, what is their goal? You can break it down and show up to get to the small goal, which is again great, and just build that momentum. And that's how we sort of create that continuous journey of gaining the courage, stepping out of your comfort zone, doing something that is maybe uncomfortable. Confidence, it is built in messiness, when we are in a mess, when we are not, when things are not working out and we are figuring them out.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's really hard, isn't it? Because if you've come from trauma, depending on the type of trauma, you don't feel safe, but depending on what it is, and so you have lost all confidence in anything, I guess, and everything. I can't even work out what goals. What do you mean by what's a goal? What are they like? Yeah, getting out of bed. Yeah, great. Like, I just want to feel safe. That's my goal. All right. I want to be happy. That's my goal. I was going to ask you towards the end, but one of the things there that you and I are both very aligned to doing every day, which is the exercise. So maybe just talk to that, what role you see the exercise in as part of reclaiming your confidence.
Exercise really actually saved my life.
Mm,
Many other things, but exercise was one of them. And that's actually how I got rid of my medications. And that's how I really broken so many limitations about my health and my healthy journey. So I also have been told that I'll never run.
mm,
And to all the medical team that worked with me, and I actually really had poor legs or knees or joints for running, and they said you'll never run. And I'm thinking, okay, on top of that, I'm chronically depressed, I'm on medications. So then I sort of said to myself, okay, I'm actually going to prove to myself that I can run. So I never actually thought, okay, one day I'll be running like 42 Ks or full marathon, but I thought, okay, let me again break it into smaller destinations. So that was actually one of my things that every time I would actually feel the urge of medications, because I actually again taken on my in my own hands my own journey of getting rid of medications.
yeah.
So I'm not suggesting people should do this. This is what I have done. That is a disclaimer. And I said to myself, okay, every time that I do have a urge of, maybe going into bad habits or getting another dose of my medications, I actually had my runners nearby. Runners. I didn't care what I was dressed in, like if it's pajamas, but if I actually would feel something is coming up, the anxiety is coming up or anything, my runners were there. So that was my cue to just get, like, without thinking, without letting emotion wash over me. Shouldn't I can't, I can't run. I have been told I'll just get into my runners and I will run 50 meters, 100 meters. It was
Mm.
just better off again breaking the pattern. So, and that became a routine for me, that over the time I would feel like every time, if I felt angry, if I felt sad, if I felt hurt, exercise was my release. So
The
I,
great th
Mhm.
the great thing about this is that, like, you and I know this, and people are maybe listening that are like really stuck and struggling, and I think, well, yeah, I hear that, but there's a lot of science and research to this, and when you do that exercise, like when you're depressed, the chemicals are messed up in your head,
Mhm.
and it's really hard to break that. But as soon as you start doing the exercise, you get that dopamine, the endorphin release, and you feel good without even consciously doing it. You could go out and exercise badly, you still get an endorphin release because of the movement. And I guess what we're trying to do is just, like you said earlier, we're building on those little habits. And if you can only walk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, it's still going to help you. And if you start doing those things every day, before you know it, one habit will lead to the next habit, and then the
Yeah.
next habit, and then the next habit.
And
And
if you learn how to stack those habits, so if I actually, like, would have my cue, like my runners there, and you go and you run, then you'll, okay, now I'm actually going to drink water. So what else can I do? So it's sort of stacking. So it's actually becoming part of our routine. So we actually want to create a lifestyle rather than, hey, I'm actually just going to run for a month, or I'm actually just going to train for half a marathon or 10K, which is like sort of limited as well. But for me, like slowly, I started to create my lifestyle. Back in the day, I did not say that way, like, oh, I'm going to create my lifestyle. No, I was actually really looking to do things to survive that chapter of my life. But in long run, and this is why you and I, like, we're so firm on this, like, having that vision, 5, 10-year vision. So, and some people say, like, why would I have that 10-year vision? Well, this is for next time, and we can talk about that. But it's really having that long-term goals where we are heading and work on what's really in front of us.
Yes. Yeah. And then breaking those down into little bite-sized pieces, right?
Exactly.
So if we've got, say, somebody that's in a toxic situation right now, that they don't really know where to start in reclaiming their confidence and, I guess, improving their life, what would you say to get them to start?
Okay, something that I've again came up with my own terms, like what actually really worked for me. So everything that I do share, it's actually from my own journey, from what I've learned from others. And then I thought, okay, this is something going to really land for people that are, looking for this, to remember word truth, the
Mm,
truth. So what really got me stuck in my own journey is not being true to myself.
hmm
I haven't been honest to myself. So if anyone is looking for the way, where to start, how to start, it's number one, be true to yourself. It's not to your husband, wife, mother, father, kids, whoever. It's yourself, and look for the ways of what really the truth is, not of the idea of the truth that we would like it to be. So let's say, and again, the example, like when I started this journey, I could have maybe say to myself, well, I would like to be that I maybe look a little bit better, leaner, healthier, that I don't have medications, or that I'm not addicted. That was not the truth. So that's the idea of the truth that we might long for, but where you're right now. If you are stuck in some certain emotions, if you are unhappy about something, if you are struggling with anxiety, if you are challenged by something, stay true to yourself,
mm.
because transformation requires honesty with yourself. So that is my starting point, and I again from that evolved into 5 pillars as an acronym of that framework of truth. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. I think in a world where it's very easy to become inauthentic because of what you see out there, and you see somebody that maybe looks like they're living their best life on social media, but you know that that's not their reality in many instances because people fake it. There's no good in that for you, and I think the best advice we can give people is to say, don't try and be the best Billy. Don't try and be the best Rob. Just be the best version of who you are. And then when you start to tap into you as a person, be inspired, perhaps by us to live better lives and so forth. But don't try and be, you know, be us. Be you. Be the best version of you, because we're all different. We've all got challenges. We've all got some people are blessed with better genetics than others, and that's okay. You've just got to learn. That's part of your journey in learning to love yourself. I'd love to be over 6 foot, yeah, but I was blessed with 5'5". So,
Comparison will hinder us on every level, like or any journey, whether it's like personally or professionally. And I would always speak about the 3 C's, like, stop comparing yourself, stop competing yourself with others, and stop criticizing yourself. They're the 3 main C's that we can, apply right now. So if we find ourselves comparing to somebody, well, no, I would always say, like, original, it's much better than anybody else, because this is you. And that's something unique about ourselves. And every time I know in a business journey, like, what's unique about you, Billy, compared to other life strategists? Well, that's my unique story, unique me, how I actually show up, my authenticity, my cheekiness, my everything about me that other people do not have. We can have all skills.
mm,
It is like part of us that we own deeply within our DNA that is actually uniqueness. And I think that everybody needs to embrace that.
mm.
And we all have that. Sadly, it is overcluttered with all writings of our bringing up. But we all have that beautiful, unique, amazing authentic self, beauty about us, our set of values and uniqueness.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
need to shine.
Absolutely.
Each one individually, like we have that, and yeah.
So with the everything that you've gone through, does that make you an incredibly protective mum? Like, do you have a very close leash
Um,
because you're like, "Do you know what, I'm just got to protect."
Oh, I would actually like to ask my daughter that question, but as a mom, that was actually one of my fears,
Mm,
that I would be overly protective and that I will pass my own fears on to my child. So
yeah.
yes, let's say a decade ago, I was a very protective mom to the point that I would actually get so much anxious.
Yeah.
And my daughter would actually have private classes with a male teacher with a couple of other kids in the class. And I remember calling her dad, and I was like, oh, I was actually panicking. I said, I cannot let her go, or being around anybody that I did not know well. And even knowing people well, I did actually have a problem to leave my child, and I was very protective.
Yeah.
But I have learned to let it go. I have learned to do the right thing as a mom, to bring her into life of awareness, to be very aware of her own journey. And it can be a bit challenging for protective moms to let it go. But if
And
we
dads.
not, we are going to embed our own fears into our kids.
Yeah.
And what we fear, we somehow subconsciously create, so we can actually really recreate that. So learning to let it go and do as best as we could as parents. And I'm very open with my daughter about many things. So we have very open relationship in communication, in sharing things. So yeah, I started off, as a very protective mom. I would not say that I'm very protective mom now. That doesn't mean that we don't care about our, children. I so much care about my child, of course, but it's like delivering in a different way, so she can embrace her life and take responsibility for herself and know the dangers are out there. But we can't actually live like that, like, oh, something is going to happen, and you really have to enjoy and live your life as well.
Yes, that's right, for
Yeah.
both perspectives.
But that was a great question. I usually don't get asked that question, but yeah.
What's important to you right now?
Oh, another great question. My inner peace.
Hmm.
That is the one important thing, if not
What does that
the
look
most.
like for you?
To me, that is actually part of my identity, that, like, how I would actually explain this and describe is like, sometimes we sort of attach ourselves to things externally,
Yeah,
it's our,
materialistic things. Yeah.
possessions or anything, or titles,
Yeah.
I'm doctor, I'm this, I'm that, like, great life strategist, or any of these things. All of these things can sometimes, one day maybe fall away, disappear. But for
Yep.
me, when I'm by myself on my own, it is really knowing that internally I'm actually at peace with myself,
Mm,
that I'm happy on my own, that I'm not alone nor lonely any longer, because I actually had the patterns of being lonely and alone and all of these things. So knowing that I am doing my best, and every time it's like, if you put me somewhere on an isolated island, having what I've got within me, I
mm.
know that I'll make it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
know that
know.
that inner peace. And why do I say inner peace? Because if we have gone through tragic moments in our life, we are so much disturbed. Everybody's written over that slate of ours, like who we are. We sort of condition ourselves like, oh, I'm the worst person, it's my fault, it's this, I'm bad mom, I'm bad dad, business owner, all of these things. But having that inner peace, it's sort of like, I know that I've dealt with my past, and it's an ongoing process. I forgave the perpetrators in my life. I see that
That's big.
differently. It is huge, and sometimes people, they do not understand that process as well. But it's actually a huge part of my journey is forgiveness, stepping into that empathy and compassion,
Yeah.
uh, And for me, that is actually a huge thing. So when I see people, it's like you don't actually judge them by the way how they look, what they do. To me, it's like asking myself, like, I wonder what's their story.
Mm.
I wonder what's their story. So I do value my inner peace, and that's something that it's like one thing that, yeah, maybe one of the most important things in my life. Because from that inner peace, you can make great choices in life,
Yep.
again, personally and professionally. And yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Beautifully said. I have I like my clients that see me and they ask about my days and my days are long, just like yours. I'm 14 to 16 hour days. I work 7 days a week. I don't enjoy going out. I don't do that. I don't have a big circle of friends and that kind of thing. It's just not. I don't go on holidays. I just don't enjoy that kind of stuff. And people, I don't drink. Don't drink tea or coffee. Take drugs, gamble, any of that stuff. And they say, "Oh, you're so boring." And I say, "Well, I just love my life, and I could be on the other side of the island that you're on, and I'd like, do you know what? I'm in perfect peace and harmony, and I don't think about it that way, but I know that I'm fully content. I'm living my best life, and each day I'm adding more value to people, and I'm improving myself, and being the best version of myself for me first, and then for my daughter, and then for my clients. And I mean, isn't that what life's about? That's how I look at it. I don't want to waste it sitting down like the grand finals on this weekend. I couldn't be bothered watching that. I mean, I'd rather be doing
We
other
can catch up,
things.
you and I. I'm not
Um,
my husband will be doing, he's into footy, but like you do that, I can
I-
support you, but
yeah, that's right. What would you say if you could master any skill instantly, just like that? I go bang. You say that I'm the genie and grant you that skill. What would it be, and how would you use it?
the skill and how would I use it in form of transformation,
What was that?
in form of
Any
transformation.
skill, just any skill that you would like to have. Could be flying, like whatever it is.
Oh, I don't know. Like I'm not really actually comfortable with flying, but yeah, any skill. I don't know. Maybe that any skill it would be that one day I might actually be on the stage that I can speak fluently without any stutter, without any
Well, you're
uh,
not stuttering here. You're going just fine.
that's something that like with any like showing off that there is a bit of a dyslexia stutter or like pauses in my speech. So that would be maybe something that I would maybe like to get to
Well, you've
eventually.
got it because it's a skill that you've just got mastered
That it's,
instantly.
that it's learned, yeah. I'm on that mission as well. Like the way how I started and where I'm now, it's I can only be proud of myself. But
So,
yeah,
basically, being able to impact more people from the stage. That's what.
and that's something that has been my goal throughout this transformational journey all along, to really reach the hearts of many people, to empower them to do their best, because they do deserve. Everybody deserves their best life to really experience and to live.
Mm,
And yeah, and I'm just like really open to supporting so many more lives and empowering
mm.
them.
Yeah, it's powerful for you as well, knowing that they're getting the outcomes.
Hmm. And
What
honestly, Rob, like everything is possible. Honestly, like I do speak to many people from their own transformational journeys and everything, and you like you hear this story, then my story becomes nothing. But that's not about the gravity of the stories. It's honestly what we do with our stories, and you don't actually have to go through something tragic not to have limiting beliefs, or but it's not about like the the stories. It's really like, okay, let's now empower everybody else. Let's do better. Let's be
mm,
better.
mm, mm. What's your biggest pet peeve when you're working with people?
What's my biggest one?
Pet peeve. What annoys you the most?
What annoys me? Oh, okay. Now, if you asked me this question about 5 years ago, I would exactly let you like right away what annoys me. Like, oh, why aren't they getting this?
Yeah.
That was me a while ago. now I actually learned the lesson that, people are, they're on their own journeys and we're all different. Right now, what annoys me, I I I don't think that I actually have the annoyance towards people that I do work. Um, I'm so grateful that they do come to me and that,
Mm.
that are open to work on a deeper level. And I think that I actually approach this journey differently. So I'm not really, getting that, like, oh, anymore but I was, like, honestly. So that's also like the trajectory of the growth as well. So
Mm.
5 years ago, it was like, damn it, why aren't they doing this? They should. I'm giving all my best, but so yeah.
Yeah, mine's kind of related to that. It's excuses. I get so frustrated by people's excuses.
Okay.
Like even this morning, somebody sends me a text message, "Oh, I can't make it in. I've had a really bad night's sleep." So what? Like, just
Okay.
come anyway. Do the work anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
but
I do actually come across a lots of excuses, but I feel that I actually sort of, on my end, I do reframe it. Not that it will never actually maybe annoy me, but I do reframe it. I think, okay, that, like, and I always, like, I learn to disconnect myself and, like, okay, that's not my story, it's their story, and I'll just go with it. And that, for me, where I go with this is, okay, could it be something like on my end now, like I'm actually questioning myself, like that I can improve, but sometimes it's purely not us. So, but yeah, I feel that we'll never get to the point that, we'll not have excuses. And I do find myself sometimes giving the excuses.
yeah, you got to fight them sometimes, don't you?
There is imperfect side to me. Oh yeah.
What would you say is your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness.
Oh,
Hmm.
they're all strengths. Look at you.
I, my biggest weakness can actually be my biggest strength. So, like, yeah. Um, Yeah, I can't really now think on the spot what's my biggest weakness, but I'm sure my husband will right away give you five. I'll get back on this one to you, with John's five things. I'll be his weakness.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's this. She doesn't put the lid on the toothpaste.
I know, right? I know. Yeah, maybe, like, he would say, like, oh no, she's Serbian woman, like she's like, like direct this and that, so she needs a little bit to mellow down and so
Look, this has been great. Just a couple more questions. I like to, because this is a passion of mine and also of yours, but just to give the viewers and the listeners an idea, what does a typical day of health and fitness look like for you?
okay. Now, do I train every day? No.
Me
Not at
either.
Sorry.
Me either.
Yeah, yeah. So people are like, oh, you're addicted. No, I'm not addicted. And I would not actually even describe my last maybe 6 months of my fitness, because I have been going through some, different tests and, on a medical side. But my day of fitness, like, I would always say the routine of the day, it's quite important. So the starting your day, like I do start my day with a prayer, with visualization, journaling things. I'll go for a run. That run can actually be, and on a weekly basis, I'll actually set my targets, what I'm going to run. So sometimes I'll have challenging months and I'll have, okay, let me go 10K a day and things like that. Or
Mhm.
right now, because like I slowed a little bit, I'll go in and have, a few training classes at the gym that I'm with. I do work on my, weights as well. Although I am a runner now, and running marathons and everything, but I'll actually always work on my energy levels, on my flexibility, on my muscles. That also involves like diet, but this is for me now, it's part of my life. I really don't even pay attention. Like, okay, is that in my daily routine? Is it in my calendar or so? Like, scheduled everything. It's sort of, you sort of get the urge maybe to go, like, it's like when we get hungry, like, okay, let me look for some food. Well, this is like with fitness, like that's part of my lifestyle. You feel better. What's actually main part in my fitness journey that I connected it to the pleasure
Yeah,
versus pain.
yeah.
So I look at everything as a, great outcome of this, great clarity. I'm going to be a better mom, better wife, better teacher, better performer.
Mm,
So there is not really like something like embedded, like this is what I have to follow. But I know that, trainings throughout the week in 7 days, like 4 to 5 trainings. If I don't go to gym, I'll go upstairs in my very humble, beautiful, small gym, eat healthy, hydrate myself, take my supplements. That's something that it's really great for me. I do journal. That's sort of like, that holistic way of, living, like releasing everything,
yeah.
visualization. That's, I have that all under umbrella of my fitness journey. Helps.
Yeah. Lovely. Couple more questions.
Sure.
Uh, in the end, for you, how important is legacy, and how do you want to be remembered?
I would actually like to be remembered as a person who is a relatable person, the person who really cared for people. I think that's something deeply embedded in me, like caring about people. And there is two type of people that I really always somehow get drawn to. It's beautiful elderly people and beautiful kids.
Mhm.
But I work with those in between.
Yeah, screw the rest.
But I think every journey that I did have through my life, I was drawn. So I would actually like to remember it as, a caring person, relatable person, and that I actually left something to, for people to remember to live their best life and how to achieve that as well. And that, everybody takes away that, hey, I'm very important, as a reminder from myself, and to really embrace themselves as we are all beautiful, beautiful diamonds, each and every one of us. Our behaviors are what makes some of us not so much great, but every individual, it is amazing. So I would like to be known as like, okay, Billy would always talk about that. We're all great, but maybe change your behaviors.
Mm, mm. Yeah, lovely. We're gonna close with one question in a moment, but look, you've just added so much value here. Now, I know most of the work that you do is with women, but you work with men as well too,
Yes, I
don't
do.
you?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
so, if people want to get in touch, I will put the details in, like below the podcast here. But what is the best way? Your name's not coming up on the screen. So, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
They can actually find me on social media, or even visit maybe my website, because you can always leave us or send us message. So that's under billyboss.com. That is the best way to get in touch.
Yeah, lovely. But I think you are a remarkable human being. I can only imagine what you've gone through in your life, where our most precious kids should be protected, and that didn't happen for you. And
Mm.
uh, the the strength that you've had to be able to, you know, just moving countries, but to escape all that. And even though you can escape physically, you can be trapped with the thoughts of it for the rest of your life. And I think it's a great credit to you to be able to become the amazing person that you are, and now being able to use your learnings and your skills to authentically and passionately, from the best part of you, to help others become the best versions of them as well. I think that's
Thank you.
yeah, you'll never work a day in your life because of you're just doing what you're meant to do. And
Exactly.
um, unfortunately, your pathway brought you this way to get to here, but because of that, you are the amazing person that you are. So I want to thank you for being here for us today and sharing that with our audience. And we'll have to get you on again at some point. But it's been a real honor talking to you.
Thank you very much, and it's such an honor to be part of your journey that you're doing and the impact that you are creating as well. So I'm very honored to be here today and share my voice as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Billy. Now I'm going to give you the closing word. What is the best advice you've ever received?
That I've received.
Yes.
The best advice that I have received is what's actually very compelling for what we've spoken today about is I have received, Billy, heal from it, learn from it, and develop more compassion, empathy, and gratitude from it.
Wonderful. Well said, Billy. We'll talk again next time.
Thank you very much.